I want to move away from Colorado because that's that, and I want to move on over to Florida. Like Colorado, they're taking on climate change, but are they using supercomputers? No. Are they even trying to stop climate change? I honestly have no idea. But in the face of all logic, Florida is burning trash. Lots of trash every
Not
day.
surprised. Not surprised.
Florida is burning thousands of tons of rotten food, takeout containers, diapers, old shoes, construction debris, tires, plastic bags, dirty carpets. They're burning it all. Now, I do want to give Florida a fair shake. The trash they're burning is in an incinerator, and it's producing enough electricity to power 4,500 homes and businesses. Sure.
That's it.
It's also, yeah, but
It's not a lot.
who am I to say? Who am I to judge how they come up with their electricity? But what I will say,
I wish you did have a counter to say how much if you had just invested in a couple of wind turbines, how much does that like how much could that actually power? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a comparison is needed here. 4,500 homes burning trash.
45,000. 45,000 homes.
Oh, 45. Okay, 45,000. Okay, sorry.
45,000 homes.
Okay, all right. It still doesn't seem right, but sure. Let's let it go. I'll let it go.
All right, so they're burning the trash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thousands of tons of trash. They're burning it, powering 45,000 homes.
They have some sort of carbon capture with the
No. In fact,
not even. Wow.
No. They're burning all this trash and it's pumping out an enormous amount of greenhouse gases and unhealthy pollutants, which are located right next to Black communities that have complained of stinging eyes, burning lungs, noxious fumes. And as we know from one of our previous episodes about deadly carcinogen exposure, they are definitely going to develop diseases. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. That's terrible. And we've covered that. So that's the only reason why I'm moving on from that is because we've covered that pretty thoroughly in a past episode. But because there's always more garbage, right? We produce garbage and they keep burning it. Our government agencies actually consider this renewable energy. And Florida gets credit for it. And this allows them to sell renewable energy certificates called RECs. Then companies and even our government buy these RECs. And with that, they take credit for green power. And on paper, they can lower their emissions by offsetting their fossil fuel powered operations without actually using less fossil fuels.
Okay.
Get it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know it sounds shocking. It sounds appalling, and it should be. Again, this is down to messaging. Probably one. I talk about good legislation versus bad legislation all the time, and how guilty our government in particular is of creating bad legislation and allowing, and all the basically from the local townships straight up to the federal. And then how that gets usually abused by corporations in order to, facilitate, something to add to their means. But in this scenario, green energy is not the same as clean energy. And I think that's the distinction that maybe most people don't make, but is a distinction that you need to make, because that's really what's happening here. Is it renewable energy? Yes, it is. But just because it's renewable doesn't mean it's clean. And that's really where you need to. That's the conversation that needs to be had. If they're giving incentives for green energy without caring about clean energy, then you need to go back to the rolls, see who voted for these items, and see who they're backed by. Because that is something. If you were a dirty fossil fuel, or if you're a dirty industry, you definitely would want to be welcome under green energy, because that clean energy is not your bag. So that it's the marketing, it's the messaging, it's the ignorance of the average voter. And this is not I'm not calling voters stupid or anything. I'm saying that everybody, you're being manipulated into believing that green energy is clean energy, and it's a concerted effort. So
I will say that you can buy these RECs from other sources. And I think, to your point, but also to be fair to the voters, that's what this mostly was about. You would buy RECs from wind turbine energy. You would buy it from the one with water, like
Hydro.
hydroelectric dams and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that, right? Like
hydroelectric. Yeah,
you would buy it from all these other things, but from Florida, it's trash incinerators.
right.
And while Florida found or was given a loophole in our RECs, because it's kind of what this is, it's not that common that you would say like, oh, well, this is like par for the course. Like, not really. There's only like a handful
Well, I
of
don't understand. How is this a
places that are
loophole?
doing this.
This seems like it seems like an intentional loophole. How do you craft legislation without
No, that's why I said
decreeing
either
that
they
it needs to
found
be
it or
clean?
it was given to them. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I mean, whether it's a loophole that you sought out or is a backdoor that was created for you, I don't know, and maybe
yeah,
we will never know.
yeah. Fine.
But the idea that you would call burning trash renewable, yes, in a way we are producing trash. Is it really renewable? Maybe not, because not, hypothetically, you could make trash that you don't need to burn. But the toxicity of the smoke and the fumes, like it's like, if anything, it is flying in the spirit of what was supposed to be done there, like what renewable is supposed to stand for.
Yeah,
But
but the law doesn't work in the spirit. That's the thing. It's I get it for a regular person. You're like, oh, honest mistake, but you have to say that whoever crafted the laws did their research, consulted scientists, consulted industry people in the space for everyone not to be aware of classifying renewable energy without the mandate of having it meet a certain, like, how do they define pollution? It's like parts per carbon or whatever the emission output for the whatever project is being greenlit, to actively not put a cap on it or not introduce or talk about it at all because everyone was kumbaya holding hands around wind power and hydro is that's fanciful. There's no way. I refuse to believe that if you're operating in a space, you're fully ignorant of all the various ways in which power can be like conducted or created, and it just slipped your mind that you can burn basically an infinite source of
but
trash.
that could have been introduced later. Like, just the beginning of renewable energy, I don't think had this in mind. I think it was probably corrupted, and it didn't need to be done in any crazy way. It was like you said, whoever had power of the Congress probably passed it, and it was done. And if they had a president that signed it, and I don't know who did that, it's not entirely easy for me to find out. But what's interesting here is that is the REC part and how that works, where you can, and again, I knew this, but I don't know if the listeners did, so I think it's important to flag up that you can offset yourself by buying someone else's credit and kind of never actually minimizing what you're doing. And it really isn't changing anything. Like it's you're still pumping out the same amount.
Yeah.
And the renewable part, like you said, isn't clean. So they're still doing a ton of damage by burning this source. The whole thing like falls apart. The idea of RECs really only work if what's generating it is something like wind turbine and it's not polluting. And even then, it's questionable. And I think John Oliver did a really good segment. I think it was him on this type of stuff on offsets and things like that. So something to go check out.